Obviously, we're long-term holders. We're not selling a single Satoshi. We never have, by the way, sold a single Satoshi, right? So we're long-term holders of Bitcoin. We're going to channel sort of the energies of the capital markets into that accumulation. We're going to be very public about those buys, whether it's on the mining side, the operations, what we're doing, why we're doing it, giving that rationale, speaking with folks like yourself about the story behind those operations, or on the treasury side, why we're buying Bitcoin, what makes this the hardest asset in the world, what our tempo is for those buys. We have the technology to do them. We have both the operational acumen to win, and now we have the financial tools in the toolbox to capture some of that value. And we are going to use these instruments, right? In fact, we're already in the markets. We're already trying to think about what is the way to accumulate as much Bitcoin as efficiently as possible today.
And as you're thinking about those ways, when would you not grow your hash rate, even if capital is available?
For us, growing hash rate comes back to rate of return versus buying Bitcoin directly, right? There will be times where it makes sense to focus on hash rate. There will be times where it makes sense to focus on Bitcoin. So if you think about hash rate globally, there's been a steady ascent of difficulty. It's gone up, it's gone down in different periods, but directionally, more hash rate is entering the market. For us, though, the operational complexity of Bitcoin mining is fine. It's something we grew up with. It's something that we have a lot of skill with. We've got great relationships with all of the chip manufacturers worldwide. We have a great sense of what makes for a good Bitcoin mining site. And so we're going to be opportunistic. There are times where, to your point, if Bitcoin climbs rapidly, there's going to be some interesting opportunities on the machine side to try and capture some of that growth, right? If you think back to the halving, right, there was a few days sort of surrounding that event where transaction fee volume spiked. It was a really great opportunity to be a miner in that case, right? We were effectively exposed to what I view as the future Swift network, right, to this transaction of values on the block space. It is still early days. You're not seeing massive use of the block space yet, but to me, that block space presents opportunity. Miners will gain a lot of the opportunity that comes from that block space gaining value. And so for mining, we're very attentive. Now, to your point, what about a down cycle? Right? What happens, when the tide goes out? That's where historically our team has always excelled. If you look at the track record of the Hut 8 team, and before that, when we were the US Bitcoin Corp team, we've always excelled at, kind of swimming against the tide in those moments because we're high conviction. When everyone else says, oh, you're an expert in the industry, how many times have you seen headlines declaring the death of Bitcoin, right? I mean, this is something that you see the headlines, folks have their confidence shaken, they put down their tools and they go home, and you stand firm and you plant your feet and you think very thoughtfully about what you're doing and why you're doing it. And you see an opportunity in that crisis. And so when we've been faced with these decisions in the past, we've always stepped up to the occasion. And so going forward, if there'll be other times where there are folks over levered, right? Too much debt, too large an operation too soon, things like that, we can come in as a steady hand and we can find ways to create value out of those opportunities. In Bitcoin mining, there have been plenty of times in the past where there have been bad deals with good bones, but our team has always been very attentive to finding ways to turn those around and make the best of them.
And I would agree with you. You guys have done a great job growing and, succeeding in these bear market environments as different operational teams. What are like 3 risks that are material to ABTC over the next 12 months? And how are you hedging them if they're policy, insurance, financial, ops related, knowing that you have a lot of, success and learnings under your belt already? Why are you viewed as a seasoned operator versus a new Bitcoin mining company?
On the Bitcoin side, so taking the accumulation and breaking it down into mining in this specific case, there are 3 areas that I'm always checking the dials on to see what our risk tolerance is, right? The first is energy, the second is global capital markets, and the third is public policy. So first, talking about energy, Bitcoin mining, again, only part of our business. We're also got a treasury vehicle in operation. But on the mining side, we are exposed to energy prices. In a year, what does energy look like at the state level, the local level, the federal level, the international level? It comes down to the electron. And that is why for us, having this Hut 8 relationship is fantastic. With a pipeline in the gigawatts, with an experienced team of energy operators around the world now, we got a perspective on energy that is fairly mature, right? It puts us in the league of many of these large scale energy producers, more so than a small mining shop, right? And so on the energy side, I think the increased adoption of renewables has created some volatility around energy. Miners have always excelled in volatile energy environments. We curtail, we can speed up, we can speed down, we can adjust efficiencies. And we've proven ourselves quite adept at that. But the first risk bucket, I would say, is energy. The second risk bucket that everyone should be thinking about when it comes to accumulation beyond mining, this applies to treasury overall, is going to be capital markets, right? What is your cost of capital? How much does money cost? That's the billion, if not trillion-dollar question. So this is where I spend a lot of time looking at reports. I look at the CPI. I look at all the inflation metrics. I think about the Fed meetings. I read their remarks. I've done a lot of global macro work in past life. And I find myself actually really channeling that now, thinking about what do capital markets look like this week, this month, this quarter, this year, next year, because it impacts our business, both from the performance of our equity, which is public, as well as the performance of our cost of capital, right? If we want to get into development, if we want to do things like that, what is the money going to cost? So that is a bucket that I'm very attentive to as well. The third final bucket of risk that we should talk about is politics. There's an old line that you may not be interested in politics, but politics are very interested. Mining and Bitcoin in general are now at that scale. We are no longer a bunch of gentlemen in our basements mining coin and securing the network. We are industrial power consumers, and that has attained a lot of interest, or you might say curiosity, from policymakers, again, at the local, state, federal, and international level. And so for us to perform well, we need the chakras to align politically across these different groups. The current administration has been a tremendous sea change for the cryptocurrency industry. We have our first Bitcoin president. We've got a team of very capable folks on the energy side. We've got a team of capable folks in the financial side, the SEC, the Fed groups like that. They're attentive to the markets. They want to be supportive. Always a bit of a shock when I meet with these policymakers and they say things like, how can I be helpful? That is fantastic. That is really what you want to hear when you're building a business in the United States. The policymakers are asking how they can help. So the policy risk is still real. We have to be constantly doing education. There are, if you add up all the senators and the congressmen, hundreds of people, and not all of them are yet orange pill, but they're getting there one congressional session at a time. So meeting with regulators, meeting with representatives, and then at the state level, meeting with folks in that government. The states kind of bridge some of the high level federal policy and the local politics. It's really important to engage with the different states, ensure Bitcoin is protected. And then at the local level, you get into things like zoning, you get into things like permits. And for our very tangible mining assets, it's very important that we stay in close contact with our communities, we engage them. And again, we do a lot of education. So when it comes to the political risk, education to me is one of the most important parts of ensuring that we are not caught offsides with the regulator.
Matt, I think you highlighted one thing we really haven't talked about, but I would love to hear more insight into in color, which is the relationship ABTC has with Eric Trump. Now, how did it come about? And what was this $2.1 billion raise? How did that work? How did that look? How many dinners at Mar-a-Lago you had? Let's give me some of the juicy details.
Yeah. So taking a step back, we co-founded this company. Eric Trump is one of the co-founders of the management team. We've got Dodd Jr. as an investor as well. So we've got involvement from both of them. This relationship started a while back. My partner, Mike, had met Eric at a conference. They'd started a discussion. You have to understand that Eric's superpower, his background, a lot of it's been in real estate, right? I mean, the Trump organization has done tremendous amounts of development all over the world, right? And when you come into Bitcoin and Bitcoin mining specifically, there's actually a lot of carryover from the real estate world into what we do. In a sense, we're doing commercial real estate, industrial real estate, 10X, with the express purposes of the energy bill. His line item of building a Trump organization property, he's got 1,000 items or 1,000 things that he's worried about. For us, we need to make sure that there's a lot going on there too, but it's really the energy bill is where the rubber meets the road in Bitcoin mining. So when Eric got looped in with the team, a lot of really productive conversations happened around the real estate side, around data centers as well, something that they were very interested in, around Bitcoin as this tremendous asset that's growing double-digit percentage every year, and how to best gain exposure to that. And the thing with Bitcoin, and as someone who's done mining, and you've done mining as well, is why buy it when you can make it? Right. The only way to accumulate Bitcoin at a structural discount is through mining. So that's a great place to start if you want to build a category leader in the Bitcoin ecosystem. With Eric joining, we brought him aboard, co-founded the company, trying to find the ways that we could best channel his superpowers in the capital markets, in communication, in articulating our mission, our vision, and really just demonstrating how serious we are about building a marquee business here in the United States. Right? Having a member of the first family involved, he's a private businessman. It's not overlap. He's a private citizen, but he articulates the American story so well that for us, it's a no-brainer to find ways to work together and create the marquee organization, combining the operational execution ability of Hot 8 and the sort of brand articulation and strategic mindset from Eric Trump. So that led to the company, formally launched in April 1. He's actively involved in the business. We're speaking constantly. You'll see him around. You'll see him go on podcasts. You'll see him in the media, but you really also see him behind closed doors, right? This is a relationship that extends far beyond just the sound bites. And he's been a great partner to have.
And I mean, a great partner bringing together a bunch of amazing people. I mean, I saw a photo of you and him and Brian Johnson. I mean, how was that meeting? Was that a party? Was that a planning session? Talk to me more about that photo with the team there.
Every good planning session turns into a party at the end of the day. But the reality for us is that we want to build a brand people get excited about. Bitcoin, it's a $2 trillion jump ball. There's an anonymous founder. There's tons of great teams working on interesting aspects of it. People doing the DeFi, people updating the development code, people working on the energy arbitrage. Bitcoin it's like the story of the blind man feeling the elephant. It's a little different to everybody. But for us, Bitcoin is an exciting American story. It combines self-sovereignty. It combines freedom. It combines hard work. All of these are core American values wrapped into a new currency, a way for folks to exit from the fiat ecosystem. Bitcoin really represents something that to me is very quintessentially American. So as we think about what we want to do to engage people, we're going above and beyond just the crypto community. I love speaking to the crypto community. I'm from the crypto community. At a certain point, though, you are preaching to the converted, right? And you need to go out there. And if we want to become a multi-trillion-dollar asset, if we want to become a global reserve store value, you need to find new groups of people to get excited about the story on their terms. And so to the photo you're referencing, you see folks like Eric Trump, myself, Brian Johnson in there. Who knows more about compounding than Brian Johnson? I mean, the man wants to live forever, right? And so if you're living forever, compounding is going to do a lot of good financially. And so we brought in all kinds of interesting folks to hear about the story and to potentially get involved in different ways. It starts with the meeting. It starts with, again, education. There are a lot of conversations that need to be had to get Bitcoin to be the asset that we all want it to be. But they're going to involve folks that you wouldn't necessarily expect day one. You would be surprised. I've spoken about Bitcoin from everybody from country singers to folks that are working in Walmart, to central bankers, to sovereign wealth. There is something in the Bitcoin story for everybody. And so as you think about the industry, not surprisingly, you're going to see more and more photos of more and more unique groups of people with strange bedfellows, but Bitcoin uniting us all.